Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. We are excited to share with you some helpful ways that can improve your business performance and maximize efficiency. Just some housekeeping before we start. We want to make sure you are aware that this webinar will be recorded, and we have team members monitoring the Q&A chat. If you have any questions during the presentation today, please type them in the Q&A chat, and they will be answered at the end. Now, I would like to introduce you to our presenters for today. Our first presenter will be Alex Shelhaas, who is a Senior Product Manager at Cavallo. He is a data-driven leader with a passion for improving people's lives through software and services. We will then have Fawaz Hussain. He is the Senior Director of B2B Software Sales at Nodus and strives to meet customers' requirements by providing them with a solution that fits their business needs and keeps their payment information safe and secure. During our time together today, Alex will talk to us about the best ways to streamline your order management process and accept payments within the Cavallo platform. Then we will have Fawaz discuss how to automate accounts receivables and increase customer convenience through self-service payment options. So without further ado, I will pass the baton to Alex so he can wow you with everything he knows.
Yeah, right. Appreciate it, Marlene. Thank you so much. Yeah, really excited to chat with everyone today, kind of about the various products that we're offering in the Business Central space. I think we're doing some really exceptional things and providing a ton of value to organizations that are, really kind of in need of a tool to help accelerate their business and accelerate their organization. So just to give a little bit of, all right, who is Cavallo? What do we do? What kind of credibility do we have? Well, we've been around since 2003. So, coming up on 20 years here of doing business in the dynamic space. And we've served, a ton of organizations over the years, organizations in various verticals from, medical supplies to more consumer packaged goods to, really all sorts of different industries. And we kind of help them thrive. And we do that by really preventing, things from going wrong in many of the cases. When we think about, the way that you intake orders, okay, we can make that order process go super seamlessly. And I think that's kind of proven the value that we've been able to deliver for our customers been largely proven by our retention rate. When we look at our customers and when we get new customers, we tend to keep them. The people spend a lot of time in our application. So the end users are in our application for, 6, 7, 8 hours a day. And the businesses are, really relying on it and dependent on it to really run their entire business. And so we're really helping them thrive. And I think that's also represented by an incredible NPS score. One of the things that we think really differentiates our product is consumer grade user experience. When we talk about ERP systems, they're foundational, right, to making sure that your business runs. You're making sure that you're following all of Uncle Sam's rules. They make sure that you can run a P&L. You can do the things that you need to do from a financial standpoint, but it lacks oftentimes some of those things that really kind of make your business hum. And one of the things that we've been able to do that make you do just that or deliver an experience where people can just pick it up and it's super intuitive and easy to use. And so we really have consumer grade UX throughout all of our applications. To give you a little bit of a sense of some of the problems we solve, think about like inefficient order entry. There's tons of problems that can, eke their way out throughout a business if you have inefficient order entry. The warehouse team is going to feel that impact. The buying team is going to feel that impact. There's a lot of negative connotations towards a inefficient order entry experience. Fragmented customer data, right? We've got, a customer calls us and I'm trying to figure out where their order is within my fulfillment process. Oftentimes, if you're trying to be articulate with your customer and you have to go call 14 different people to figure out the status of an order, that creates, a little bit of distrust between you and the customer. We help solve that problem by putting data where it matters for people. We give a really incredible inventory visibility, help you have some extra access into your AR information. And If you're struggling with, lacking from proactive notifications, so I come into the office today, what should I do today? Well, or workflow engine can really help guide your business to do just that, help you know exactly who needs to do what, and give clear accountability throughout the process. And I'll show you how that'll work in a little bit. If you want to manage your channels, we've got an e-commerce channel and an EDI channel and a, direct channel and a partner channel. Okay, how are we managing that? What are those processes? Do they have different processes? Do they have different flows as necessary? As a document goes from, a sales document specifically goes from, hey, we got a brand new order. All right, what actually does it going to take for us to get that order out the door? We can help solve all of these problems with extra control on the margin, give you more visibility, give you incredibly flexible workflows, and have you get a really holistic view of your entire process. Just to kind of give you a little bit more proof points here, talking to some of our customers here, we've got Charter Industries. They were able to achieve a 99% return on assets for their business, which was absolutely incredible. We were able to help a company go from 10 clicks to 1 click from an order entry experience. So we could automate so much of their process where really all they had to do is click, move the document forward. And it was a significantly faster order fulfillment process, which meant their customers could get their orders faster, which meant their cash flow would improve, and their overall business profitability scaled tremendously as a result. In this case, Crown, if anybody happens to see Bar Rescue, they're often, highlighted in that show. They were able to achieve a 65% increase in their CSR output. And basically, they were able to say, okay, our CSR team, you can put more orders in, and you can, not only can you put more orders in, but you can do it accurately, which is incredibly important. So when we think about our Business Central product specifically, we like to showcase it kind of in terms of, the customer to cash life cycle, right? So, hey, we're trying to sell to our customer. The customer placed an order. We've got to fulfill it. We might need to replenish inventory because we don't have inventory in stock. Maybe we actually ship it to the customer and we actually need to, all right, at the end of the day, we got to go get paid, right? When it matters. Maybe you actually need to get paid at the front end. You can do that with the integration between Nodus and Cavallo here. So one thing that we have is the order management dashboard, and I'll show you that in a bit. We also have the order management workflow, which allows you to design that process from start to finish. We give you extra visibility into your process with our process analytics and performance product. And then we give some of those more kind of capabilities for managing your customers, managing the interactions, and entering an order seamlessly, all without any real syncing with Business Central, which means that we can provide you with value in a matter of weeks instead of having a really complex integration process, which is really, really important as you're trying to improve your business and scale your organization. One of the things that we do as a part of our onboarding process is, and it just kind of highlights, where we think we can add a lot of value here is just talking through your process. So we just have a business conversation to say, okay, what is your process like? And, we've done this for thousands of organizations at this point, and we know what a good process looks like. But at the same time, we're not your business expert. You're the business expert. And so what we're able to do is kind of, employ business and enterprise level thinking for your organization and create a really curated process that's specific to your organization, which really makes a difference. And so we talk, hey, are you having trouble managing customers? Are you having trouble, restocking? Do you do demand-based purchasing and you're struggling with this, that, and the other thing? We can help with that with the Cavallo workflow engine and products overall. So we just talk about this. Hey, what are you really good at? What are you okay at? And then perhaps what are you poor at? Is there opportunities to automate anything within that process? Okay, we can help take care of that for you. So let's dive into the actual piece of software, one of the most exciting things here. And so one of the first things that we get here, so I'm a user, I logged into Cavallo. One of the first things I see here is this mission control page. And what this is really kind of the full visibility into your orders process or your business's process, right? So at the top here, we have these approvals, which I'll cover in a minute here. And then at the bottom, we have the steps it would take for your business to go through to get an order out the door. So for an example, we get a brand new order, everything flows in there. And then, based on the conditions that I have set up, some orders need a deposit, some orders don't need a deposit. And you can get visibility into that, right from the mission control screen. I can see my margin and, I can see that, hey, this document is fully paid. Well, how is it fully paid? We took a credit card payment. So that's a part of our integration that was really important. And then actually updated the status of the document, which you can move for routing purposes. And then at the top here, we have kind of those guardrails for your business. So these are the things like margin check, right? So we've got documents, they violated the margin that I was wanting for my business. Okay, let's go ahead and analyze these. There might be a valid reason to push this document forward. There might be opportunity for me to say, hey, nope, we're not going to let that go any further, right? And so what we're doing is surfacing this document to say, okay, let's have that conversation. Make sure you're in a position where you can say, okay, things are going well, things are going poorly, right? And then from here, you can either approve or reject it. Do you want to let it go through the process? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. You can leave some additional commentary, or you can see that, hey, things aren't going as well. You can see I'm talking to myself here, but hey, can I do this, please? Maybe, maybe not, right? No, you can't do it, please. So you can have that conversation, which really kind of humanizes these things for your business and surfaces it so you can have conversations with your counterparts. And this is all powered by our workflow engine. So one of the things that you can do here is go into workflow, go into order workflow, and here is where you will really manage your process. Thanks to the integration, one of the things that we can do here is have a needs credit card queue. So as an example, what you want to maybe you want to say, we need to get a credit card from every single customer in order for it to be processed. If I don't have a credit card on file, I need my team to go evaluate that, right? So what we could do is create a brand new process. In this case, we've got a new order queue. We could create an alternate path. In this case, we can just create a brand new path. And what this is going to do is let me define new parameters for routing. So in this case, I can say, all right, show me, and I can use this a field from the order, field from line item, field from the customer. And let's just say, hey, a field from the customer, if the customer, has a default card in this case, and we could mark that as is true. Bear with me a minute. I got too many applications. And mark that as is true. And what this is going to do is say, okay, if we do have a credit card on file for this customer, let's go and evaluate that. We can put it into the next queue. But if we don't have a credit card on file, why don't we go ahead and move this order to the appropriate spot? In this case, let's go ahead and move it to the needs credit card queue. So anytime your business or your organization is putting in orders, we're constantly monitoring this and using the integration here to say, okay, we have a credit card on file with them. We're still 100% PCI compliant because this isn't information we're storing. And we can know we have a credit card on file with a customer. Maybe if they have a credit card on file, okay, great. Let's just go ahead and say, if they do have a credit card on file, let's evaluate this for a minute. Now they have a credit card on file. We're going to move it to ready to pick from there. And not only are we going to move it to ready to pick, what we're going to do is actually capture an auth on the order preemptively, right? So we could trigger an automated action, and we could do some things like, hey, authorize the credit card payment, right? And this is going to go out and create an authorization for, maybe we could do the balance of the order, right? But you could break this up and do this conditionally any way you want. So there's a lot of different conditions you could do for this, right? So maybe we want to say, if we only need a credit card on file if the order is more than a certain amount. So in this case, we could add, if the field from the order, if the total, in this case, is, let's see here. If the total is more than, and then what we can do is say is, all right, let's go ahead and make sure we're monitoring documents that are really big, right? Like we don't really need to be monitoring orders that are small. And so we could just say a certain amount in this case. And we could go ahead and select a certain amount if we wanted to, right? To say, okay, let's only evaluate orders that are over $1,000 or something along those lines. And then that's going to capture, you can stack these parameters on top of each other and really create a robust process from kind of the consolidation of all of these efforts and these conditions. One of the guardrails that I mentioned was kind of these business rules. And what these are going to do is constantly be evaluating your business for the parameters that you have set up. So in this case, anytime a document is less than 20% margin and the total is more than $1,000, we're going to capture this document and force it to go through an approval process. But maybe you want to add a separate condition. So you could add additional conditions on top of this that are saying, maybe we want to evaluate, we onboarded a new salesperson. The new salesperson doesn't quite know the rules yet. Let's go ahead and make sure they're set up for success. So you could say, hey, if the salesperson is, in this case, we would say is one of these people. And then maybe let's go pick on Ben here. Ben's a new sales rep with us. We want to go ahead and capture all of his documents that are over $1,000. We could do that with the workflow engine. And then once Ben is in a good position, we could just go ahead and remove that from the actual business rule. You can also do a lot of different automations with this. So what that would be is, maybe you want to automatically create an invoice, or once a document has been fully paid, maybe you want to push it to the next step, right? So we could say, hey, if the document status is picked and fully authorized or partially paid or fully paid, these statuses are leveraging the Nodus integration. What we can do here is evaluate and say, okay, the document's been fully paid. Great. Let's push it to the next spot automatically. That way a human doesn't have to actually intervene during the process. Let's go ahead and leave without saving and show you a little bit about how this would work more practically. So let's say I'm on the mission control screen and a customer calls me. What I can do is say, okay, let's go ahead and click this little plus sign, click on new order. This is going to pull up my customer list. We can go ahead and create a brand new order for Datum Corporation. And this is going to generate a brand new order for my customer. In this case, what we're doing is this is actually generating an order in Business Central, so that whether you're an accountant and you live in Business Central, or you're a CSR or a salesperson or some sort of an operations person and you're out in Cavallo, you're all looking at the exact same information. And so you can see by default, it just popped into the new order queue. It doesn't have any products on it quite yet. And so it's going to be stuck in this queue until I choose to add products to it. From here, maybe I know I want to go ahead and take a card payment, right? I know I need to take a card payment from this customer, so I'm going to just set that already. And one of the things that we're doing here is giving you a really robust activity log so that you can see exactly what's happening on this order. So maybe Alex Shellhaas went to the document and I gave the customer a big discount, and then I updated the shipping method and I did a bunch of other different things to the order. You'd be able to tell the full story of this document right from the activity log. Maybe you want to leave internal notes, right? Maybe you want to leave a note to the operations person, or maybe you want to leave a note to the customer service rep. You would be able to do that with this application so that you can communicate effectively. If I happen to have any payments, all of those payments are going to be logged here as well. So let's go ahead and add a product to the order. In this case, we're just going to go ahead and add a Paris guest chair. And again, one of the cool things about this is that this is actually going to be an order in Business Central, right? So we're not actually, storing a separate order. This is an order created in Business Central. We could go ahead and select the location. And from here, I know based on the parameters that I've set up in my workflow that it's going to go to needs deposit. So let's go ahead and push the document forward. And there's a couple of things that are going to happen automatically for me here. Well, the first thing that it's going to do is it actually allocated the inventory for the order for me. I have that set up in my workflow. the workflow knows that I should allocate it to the order because it's an important order. I could also set it up to not allocate. Maybe you want to only allocate under certain conditions, right? You could do that with the workflow engine. Now it's in my needs deposit queue. Great. We actually need to go process a payment. So all you have to do, and this could be done automatically with the workflow engine, as I mentioned earlier, but let's just go ahead and take a full payment for this. And there's a few different options, right? I can take a sale, I could do an auth capture. And then as a part of the integration, I get access to all of the credit cards this customer has on file. So let's just go ahead and select that. We can do a full payment and we can just take the payment. And now what's going to actually happen? Instead of sitting in the needs deposit queue, this payment is going to go kick it off. Hey, the payment was processed successfully. Looks like we can actually go ahead and move that into the ready to pick queue. There's something for us to do to move forward. Now, just to illustrate just a little bit here, maybe I want to go ahead and give the customer a hefty discount. I'm feeling really good about things. Now what actually happened? I got a violation. One of my business rules was flagged so that the document can't move further, right? I could choose to submit this on to the next step and I can give it a chance to explain myself. But instead of actually trying to explain myself, I can recognize, hey, I'm not allowed to do that. Let's just go ahead and change the discount back to something that's more favorable for my business, right? And from here, the document is fully paid. It's fully allocated. I'm ready to pick it, right? And so we could submit this into the ready to pick queue, and then that's actually going to process. And from there, my warehouse team can actually pick it up and do what it is that they need to do to manage it. So it released the document automatically. I can see the payment right here. I can see related documents. In this case, we created the warehouse picks and the warehouse shipments. And so our document is in a good spot. I don't have to do anything from here. And one more thing I'll just kind of briefly show you before I pass it over to Fawaz here is just kind of the wallet capability. So you get access, as we showed you on the order, into all of the credit cards. But one of the great things here is I can go in here and this is actually loading the Nodus Pay Fabric. Basically, it's iframing in some of the information so that we don't have to actually store the information. We can rely on Nodus's expertise so that they can manage these transactions. They can manage these credit cards. They can do that for you. They can do that for us so that we don't have to actually manage these anymore, which is incredibly powerful and really exciting about the integration. So with that, that's a little bit of a 20-minute sneak peek of Cavallo and what we offer. I'll pass it over to you, Fawaz. So thanks.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Let me share my screen. And oops, sorry about that. Okay, can you confirm if you can see my right screen?
Fawaz, right now we're seeing the presenter's view.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. Is that, well, can you confirm, Alex, what screen do you see now?
We're still seeing the presenter's view right now.
Oh, it didn't change. That is odd. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, apologize. Thank you. I think you can see the right screen now, right?
Yep, there you go.
All right, thank you so much. Thanks for that segue, Alex, and for that presentation. It was great presentation. So folks, as you heard from Alex, the partnership that Nodus and Cavallo has done is primarily on the payment processing side. So a very quick high-level intro on Nodus. We specialize in payment processing and AR automation tools that integrate with various ERP systems out there. Today's example, we'll be looking at Business Central. So what Cavallo has done, Cavallo has, what you saw in Alex's presentation, Cavallo has embedded Nodus's Pay Fabric payment engine within their application, which essentially allows Cavallo users to securely process payments within the Cavallo application, as you saw during the demo today. So essentially, that eliminates the need of you using a third-party system or going outside to a website or a terminal to process payment. Everything can be done within the application itself while maintaining all the PCI compliance regulations. So that's essentially the most important part of this. In addition to the standard payment processing functionality, Nodus also offer, with the partnership with the Cavallo, Nodus also offer EMV support for any of the card present type of transactions. So if you are in an environment where you do take physical card and you want to swipe or use a chip based payment processing, we support that. The device that we support is a Bluetooth enabled device, so which essentially allows you to be in a little bit more of a remote mobile type of environment. Now, with the application that we have designed and with PayFabric security, it can help you tremendously with achieving and maintaining PCI compliance, which we'll talk a little bit more about as well. And then another really important part of this is that another big area that what we bring to the table is self-service payment options. So essentially, the Nodus Pay Fabric solution that Cavallo has written an integration to, it does have an option where you can enable your customers to take charge of their payments themselves using things like self-service payment portals or even payment hyperlinks. So we're going to be looking at that today. Now, the device that I talked about that we support currently is a PAX A920 device. This is essentially, it's EMV enabled, so you can either swipe, tap, or use a chip. And also this is driven by Bluetooth, so it's wireless, which gives you the flexibility to, depending on, how you're, like if you're in the field or like what type of environment you're in. Along with the payment processing, a couple of important areas that we do also help is some of the unique features that we bring to the table is also, you talked about credit cards. Alex showed you an example of credit card payments and all that, but we do support ACH as well, electronic checks. In a business-to-business transactions, you will notice that checks are still very popular. So a lot of companies might ask you to, some of your customers might ask you to pay directly from their bank accounts using an electronic check method. So all of our applications support that as well. So including what you saw earlier today from Alex's presentations and what you're going to see in my presentation today, we support credit cards as well as ACH. Another area which is also unique, which is really, really helpful, is that we do support level 2, level 3 processing. Essentially, level 2, level 3 processing helps you achieve the lowest possible rates on payment processing. So what that is that is additional level of data that we can submit to interchange through to like Visa, MasterCard, or Discover, whomever you're processing. Essentially, what we can do is like we can submit this additional level of data, such as, and that data could be things like PO numbers, or it could be things like invoice number, item codes, and stuff like that. But the whole idea is that the more information you provide the processor at the time of processing payment, the less risky that transaction is considered. And because of that, the interchange reward you with a lower rate. So a lot of companies use this to save money on payment processing. So this way you can save money on those hefty credit card processing fees by getting a really, really low rate. But in certain businesses, it's actually mandatory. So for example, if you work with any government agency, or if you're working in an environment, or if your business is an environment where you are taking payments from customers that are using government issued credit cards. For those credit cards, it is must that you provide level 2, level 3 data, or you submit level 2, level 3 data at the time of payment processing. So on the, essentially what happens is on the statement, it's going to show you not just a total, but the breakdown of what that total is. It helps with fraud preventions and also reconciliation and whatnot. So that is something really important. And then another part that is, I want to highlight here is also surcharging. So because Nodus is part of Evo is one of the largest payment processors, specifically on the B2B side, we have an official way of imposing surcharge if needed. Now, please keep in mind, surcharges are very complicated. There are a lot of moving pieces, a lot of puzzles, a lot of moving pieces associated with it. So, but we as a company, we are set up to provide our merchants that, provided that the merchant does get approved. So let's say if you as an organization, you want to impose a fee on your credit card transactions, like a surcharge for credit card processing, you will have to go through an approval process, and provided that you do get approved, then you can accept, or you can impose credit card surcharge fee on your payments to offset some of that credit card fees that you are paying to process payments. So these are some of the unique values, or I would say propositions, that we bring to the table, along with just payment processing from what you saw in Alex's demo. So now I'm going to change gears a little bit, and I'm going to talk about accounts receivables, AR automation. And in AR automation, essentially, this is the area where most businesses keep a very strong eye on. AR is all the payments coming in, so accounts receivables, all the incoming payments. There are a lot of areas within AR that business owners or accounting managers or controllers like to keep an eye on. And with that AR, there are some pain points associated with it too. So one of the biggest pain point associated with payment acceptance on a receivable side is integration. If you don't have your accounting system connected with your payment system, or your software, in this case, like let's say Cavallo software connected to have an embedded payment system, then that's what we call there's an integration gap. And if you don't bridge that gap, then you can run into problems like, you will have to rely on double entry. You will have to essentially use a third-party system outside of your application to process payments, and then manually key in all that information, which essentially, anytime you have human data entry, that can also connect to a lot of errors and typos when it comes to like entering payments details into your system, which also means that you're not going to have real-time reporting. So let's say if if a customer processes a payment, your customer will expect to receive service right away. But if your systems are not updated and the records are not updated with that payment information, then your customer service team might feel like, okay, well, what's happening, right? Like, why am I not receiving the service that I just paid for? So that's why integration is really important. And if you don't have an integration system, you will essentially rely on manual labor. So we talked about manual labor just now, that obviously, one of the biggest problems with doing things manually is human errors that are associated with it, but also time. It's very costly, the time, and it's very tedious to maintain multiple systems and make sure that when you process payments, is properly updated into your bookkeeping system, and also all the payments are tied to right invoices, and to reconcile all that manually, it just takes a lot of time to do all that. By doing things manually, another area that you expose yourself to is a risk on security. It is when it comes to payments, specifically credit card payments, it is 100% your responsibility as a merchant to protect the cardholder information. Obviously, having a PCI certified solution is super, super important. You heard from Alex's presentation, PayFabric is PCI certified, so you're good on that side, but it doesn't stop there. We can provide you the most secure solution in the world, but if your internal processes are where you have someone taking the credit card over the phone, or maybe one of your employee or your team member asking your customer to mail or email a credit card number, all of that is something that we don't have control on. Nodus and Cavallo don't have control on. So that is on you, on how you enforce that security. So it is 100% your responsibility. And if you don't have an integrated system, if you don't have a payment system that is tied directly with your accounting system, then you're exposing your team to a lot of that security related threats. And then the last part, which is also a very, very important part, is customer convenience. Imagine if the only method of payment you allow your customers is by calling you during your business hours and making a payment over the phone. That can be very inconvenient for the customer. That could also delay in payments. That can also cause a lot of frustration among the customers. Um, there is a KPI that accounting departments follow. It's called DSO, Days Sales Outstanding. And essentially, basically all that is that how long does it take you to collect payments on your sales? Like once you generate an invoice or once you complete the sale, how long does it take you to collect payment on that? In a retail world, where you go to a store, buy something, and you make a payment immediately. So obviously there is no DSO there, right? Because you bought something and you paid immediately. But in a B2B world, when you're doing mass transactions and you're ordering large quantities in wholesale and whatnot, then oftentimes you will have to offer your customers some sort of payment terms, like give them 2 weeks to pay or 30 days to pay and whatnot. When you offer payment terms, now comes the whole challenge about how fast are you collecting them? Are your customers paying within the term allowed to them, allocated? So that's essentially how the way that accounting departments manage that is by keeping an eye on the length or the time that it takes to collect payment, and that is called DSO. Studies have shown that businesses that rely more on manual process, like unintegrated, like manual payment processes, have been found to have 30% longer DSOs than average businesses who are doing things a little bit more in an automated fashion. That was a study done by payments.com, but as you can imagine, with all the pain points related to manual payment processing, 30% seems about right. So with that, let's take a look at it. So what I'm going to show you today is I will show you how as a Business Central user, how can you enhance your customers' payment experience by allowing your customers to take charge of their payments, and at the same time, how can you protect yourself by eliminating the need of having someone read the credit card number over to you or over on the phone. So what we have done is we have essentially created a customer portal for PayFabric. So PayFabric is our payment engine that you saw the demo earlier. So PayFabric does have a customer-facing payment portal, which essentially is very similar concept to how you pay your utility bills or how you pay your cell phone bills or any of your bill online. Essentially, you can offer your customers a similar experience, a website where they can log in, they can view their account information, they can view all their outstanding invoices and whatnot, and then they can essentially take charge of their payments on their own. One quick note on this, as I'm sharing my screen, you see my pay invoice page. This is basically an outstanding invoice page. The user interface of this is very flexible. Right now, I have a PayFabric logo on it, but you can put your own logo. In fact, You can even do more modifications on this if you want to. For a lot of our clients, they essentially try to make it look like as a part of their own website. So for example, if you go to like, let's say tmobile.com, that is a corporate website. But when you log into T-Mobile, it takes you to some bill pay system. It's not ours, but it takes you to some bill pay system. But as a user, you have a seamless experience. You don't feel like it's a bill pay system that's outside of their website. So you can essentially offer similar type of experience to your customers where they can have that seamless interface experience. Along with that, if you already have a place where somebody's logging in, like let's say if you have a customer portal where people log in for some other purpose, or maybe you have an e-commerce presence where you have a website where customers log in to place orders, we do support pass-through authentication. Essentially, what that means is that they don't have to log in again. Just within your portal, you can essentially just say, hey, click here to view your outstanding balance, and then customers can make a payment. So that's on the interface side, but in terms of what the application does and how it works is this is a full-on what we call our AR automation tool. So let me explain you how it works and I'll show it to you. So let's say if you have an invoice in Business Central, and once that invoice is posted, and an open invoice means that you have not collected payment on it. So if you post that invoice, then immediately it gets synced over here to this portal. So all these 3 invoices that you see, these are open posted invoices in Mike for this customer in Business Central. At the same time, a customer gets notification where they're notified about that invoice, and they can also, once notified, they can log in to the portal, they can make a payment, they can view the invoice, they can view the details of this invoice by clicking on it, they can download a copy of it, and then most importantly, they can make a payment on this invoice. That payment is processed, and upon successful process, the payment gets integrated back into Business Central, and most importantly, it applies it to the right invoice. So you don't have to figure out which payment goes to which invoice. You don't have, everything is already mapped out, and everything just gets inputted into your Business Central. So let's look at that, right? So for example, I'm going to go ahead and create, just sake of example, I'm going to create an invoice from scratch. So let's say, and this is Business Central. For those of you who are using Business Central, you're completely familiar with this process. So it's just a typical process of creating an invoice. And I'm just using this as an example. It doesn't have to be created from here. So once I have this invoice, I'm going to go ahead and just very quickly add a line item. So let's just pick this one, $433, this mobile pedestal. Okay, so I have this invoice ready, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and post this invoice, which is technically, again, this is just a Business Central, or I mean, not just Business Central, almost all accounting systems have this thing where essentially you post it. So the difference between posted and unposted invoice is that once the invoice is posted to a customer's account, then it's recognized as this is outstanding. Before that, it's you can save it in a batch. It could be just a working invoice, so it's not finalized. So once the invoice is posted, it's been finalized, right? So that means that now this shows as a balance on the page on the customer's account. And at this point, if I refresh this page, I should be able to see that invoice right away. And this was the invoice that came in. See, I created this invoice is right here, $478. If I drill down, I will see it was this mobile pedestal that I ordered for $433.60 and $478.04, right? Along with that, what else that happened is that it also sent an email notification to the customer. This is what a typical notification looks like. And again, you can modify this. You can change the UI for this. It doesn't have to say pay. Obviously, this you're gonna put your own logo and whatnot, but you can customize this too. Couple of things I want to highlight over here is number one is that we have a attached invoice with this, so we can actually attach a copy PDF of the invoice, so it turns into like an invoice delivery system too, and that also can be modified. So this is what it looks like out of the box, but this is what it looks like out of the box. But you can obviously change the look and feel of this. Secondly, it has an option to pay now. And then it also has an option to log in. So when you log in, you can log into a portal and make a payment like I'm doing right now. I'm logged into a portal. But you can also offer them a method to make a payment without the need of logging in. What that does is that for those customers that are like one-off customers who don't have a login and they may not do business on a recurring basis, they can just click on this link and make a payment without the need of logging in. But for this example, I'm just going to go ahead and pay from here. I'm going to select payment. I'm going to continue to pay. It will show me a page where I can see my total, and then I can also see my wallet, like my a credit card that I have on file or credit cards that I have on file. So by default, this one is pre-populated, but if I change my payment method, I can see what I have. So as this customer has 3 credit cards on file, I can choose whichever one I want to make a payment. Now, a quick note over here. This is all sitting on PayFabric's cloud. So this is on a very, very secure cloud and is fully PCI compliant. Another benefit that this gives you is that it's centralized, right? So this wallet is exactly the same wallet that Alex showed you on his during his demo. So when a customer let's say if Alex, as a user, he adds a credit card, or if a customer goes to this portal and add a new credit card over here, there are a few ways to do that. They can add it to the wallet window, or they can just add it over here by clicking on this new payment method. So when they add a new credit card, it gets stored on the PayFabric cloud. So then it's available on this portal, is available in Business Central, and is available on the Cavallo application as well. So that's a huge benefit about that. And then you can enable a couple other security feature, like enable CVV2 code. I have it disabled just because this is my demo environment. You can make it mandatory. So what I did now is I made a payment, and that payment is confirmation is displayed on the screen. In this case, the payment went through, so I got an approval message. If this payment was declined, the process would have stopped right here. And as a user, I would have gotten a prompt to enter a new payment information. So this way, you don't have to chase your customers for declined payments. Customer is notified immediately, and customer gets prompted to enter the new credit card number. If it goes through, they say this approval message. A copy of this has already been sent in an email. We display like a friendly message here, so you know which email address this confirmation went to. You can click on this envelope button to send it to someone else. You can download this if you want to, or you can always go back in the history and watch that as well. So just to kind of give you an example, this is what that looks like, a payment confirmation. Again, this is just a confirmation. Please ignore this big red bar. That's just our internal security. But this is right here is a payment confirmation. And if I go to Business Central, this payment has already been applied to that invoice. So in Business Central, there's a place called Cash Receipt Journal. And if I go to the Cash Receipt Journal, I should see payment number 337 for $478.04 has already made it to Business Central, and most importantly, it's already been applied to invoice number 103563. So this is invoice number 103563, payment 337 for $478.04. So this is essentially how you can allow your customers to go online, make a payment on their own. This way, you don't have to be exposed to any of the customer's credit card data. You don't have to you can impose a policy in your business and your organization that we don't take any credit card over the phone. We also have other options over here, which essentially allows you to send a link, a hyperlink to a customer's text message or in an email to collect payment from them. So basically what I'm trying to get at is that by using this application, PayFabric, you can on Business Central, you can completely impose a policy where you can say that, hey, we don't take any credit card over the phone. None of our customers ever get exposed to any of the customers' data. And most importantly, it's like very convenient for your customers because now they can themselves, anytime they are at their leisure, they can go ahead and they can make payments. The payment portal itself has a lot of other features as well, such as you can allow customers sign up for automatic payments. So it can automatically, like, you know how for your cell phone bill, you can keep a credit card on file and just have it automatically be paid. You can do that. You can look at history. You can drill down, and all of this information is coming directly from Business Central. So essentially, you can give your customers a full control on all their AR, and all the history from their Business Central would be over here. There's a customer service site as well to it too, where your internal reps can also do things like collections, process payments on behalf of our customers. And then you can even process payments directly inside of Business Central as well, because our PayFabric components sit here as well. So obviously, due to the short nature of this webinar, I can't go into all the details. This was just more of a tip of an iceberg, but we would love to chat with you in one-on-one and see how we can help you cater to your payments. How we can address some of your payments pain points, and see how PayFabric can help. As a company, we specialize, as I mentioned, we specialize in e-payments, and electronic payment processing, and receivables, account receivables, automation. We have tools which allows you to process payments directly within Business Central. It allows you to process payment, have a payment processed through a customer service portal, or you can allow customers themselves to process payment through a customer portal or through that hyperlink, like a pay link that we talked about. And also, because we are Evo, we are a processor, you don't have to rely to any third party for any payment processing. Everything's under one roof. We do end-to-end payment processing for you, so you don't need a third-party gateway. You don't need any other processor or any bank involvement in that sense. For any processor setup, we do all that for you. So by eliminating middlemen, we essentially can help you save a lot of money on processing, but also help you with a lot of technical support experiences. So both applications that you saw are available on the app source, on the Business Central app source, the Cavallo application, the Nodus application. I will leave this QR code up on the screen for you to take screenshot, or for you to take a picture of this from your cell phone. And with that, I'm going to hand it over back to Marlene. Marlene, thank you so much.
And thank you guys. That was wonderful. Just a reminder that a recording of this webinar will be sent to our guests today. Now, I did want to address some of the questions that we got, if you guys are up for that. The first one we got says, can you bring in the customer's POs into the workflow or other external documents? Alex, can you just speak to that for a moment, please?
Yeah, sure. So there's a lot of different things that you could bring in. If we're talking about the customer PO, ultimately the customer PO is going to become your sales order. So if you're looking to kind of reference a customer PO number, you could certainly do that, and reference that on the sales document and then route appropriately. We have a lot of customers that use customer PO as potentially a tool to do like rush orders. So, if the PO contains a certain value, move it forward. And the other thing, as far as kind of external documents are concerned, we've created a bunch of different statuses that kind of help move your order documents forward faster. So, we can, listen to the things happening on the background within Business Central. And as an example, if it's fully picked, All right, we can move it to the shipped queue, and if it's fully shipped, we can move it to the to the ready to invoice queue. And if it's fully paid, maybe we want to generate the invoice but not send things out. So we've created a bunch of different statuses that are looking at like Business Central really likes to create documents, right? Like there's PICs, there's shipments, there's invoices, there's all sorts of different documents. And so we've created the statuses to help listen to those and then help you route based on that document status. Good
Wonderful.
question.
Thank you. Fawaz, this one's for you. You might have touched on it, but is credit card the only payment method accepted, or can we allow our customers to pay through their bank account?
Yeah, so good question. And the ACH that I talked about, it is basically what that is. So instead of typing your credit card number in, you're going to type your account number and routing number. And essentially you will do, like, some people call it direct debit, some people call it like a wire, but in reality it's basically like electronic check. That's what it is. So yes, you can allow your customers to pay by directly through their bank accounts.
Okay, great. And this one, I think either of you could take. How long does it take to deploy Cavallo and Nodus?
Alex, you want to go first on the Cavallo side?
Yeah, sure. I mean, for us anyways, it's really quick. So we got to install the extension. And that's like a 15-minute job, right? And then from there, we have the business conversation about, hey, what should your process be like? Depending on how complex your process is, it might take a little bit longer, it might be a little bit faster. And so that is, I say anywhere between, a week and 4 weeks, depending on, how complex you want us to get. And then a little bit of that is also training, because what we want to do is see iterative improvements, right? So you set up your workflow. We don't want you to just leave it as that for the next decade, right? We want you to listen to your business, see what's going well, see what's going poorly, and then improve your business accordingly with the workflow engine. And so we go through a training process as well. As far as, and I'll let Fawaz take kind of the BC side, but assuming PayFabric's integrated, all we have to do is enter in like 3 fields, click the submit button, and the integration is done. So it's super fast to kind of connect Nodus and Cavallo.
Yeah, basically everything, Alex, that you mentioned, that's ditto. That's exactly what it is. So we have already done all the legwork behind the scenes to make that give you the seamless integration experience. So we have everything is put in together. So just like any Business Central app, when you download it from the extension from the App Store, it takes like a few minutes to just quickly run an app installed, and as Alex mentioned, it takes a couple of weeks in terms of getting your business requirements ready and all that. And I guess the biggest part on our side would be on you to get your templates ready. Like, what do you want the email templates to look like when the new payment notification goes out or new invoice notification goes out? So those that's sometimes can take time, but I would say 2 to 3 weeks is a good turnaround time to get everything up and running. It takes about a week for us to get you approved on our payment processing platform. So we will send you a merchant processing application. There are a couple of documents that we need to collect from you, send it over to underwriting, but usually that can be done within a week period as well.
Okay, and I have one more here. It says, you look like you are storing credit card info in Cavallo. How are you making sure you are PCI compliant?
I think we covered that one at some point in time, but really I think from the Cavallo side, we're relying on the Nodus team to take care of all of that, which is frankly very convenient for us, and that's one of the reasons this partnership was so important for us is really the Nodus team's taking care of that.
Yeah, and from complete technical perspective, in reality, and Alex talked about this, you're not actually storing anything in Cavallo or Business Central,
right,
or even per se the PayFabric customer portal that we showed you. Everything is on our PayFabric cloud. So the technology that we use to communicate between the cloud and the application is what we call an iframe, an internet frame. So when Alex showed you the demo of Cavallo screen, and when he opened up that area where you type in the credit card number or where you see those credit card data, that's a little iframe that's being opened directly from our cloud. So what's this showing you is what we have stored in our PayFabric cloud. So it's not touching the Cavallo application at all, but as a user, you're getting that interface or the experience where you are storing credit card on file that can be used within the Cavallo application.
All right, wonderful. Well, that wraps us up today. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you both for your time and information, and have a lovely rest of your day.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
everyone.
much.
Take care.